minutes from June 26th.
So moved.
So move from Earl and
Second.
second from Charlie. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving right along, we have our meeting minutes from our October 16th meeting. And again, same question. Did everyone have a chance to look over those meeting minutes? And did we have any comments or questions before
No.
we vote to approve?
Abstain.
Oh, you have to abstain. That's right. Why do I?
On the 26th, you weren't.
I was here.
Okay, keep going.
I wasn't here.
Whoever.
Oh, back in,
June.
June. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. My daughter got married.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Okay, so now do we have to re-vote on that? I totally forgot.
Do you have 3 people you can vote on with it?
We
Yeah,
had
this-
3 to vote, but she
I mean, I
voted
think-
she should.
I forgot.
So you have 3 others that can vote.
I do, maybe we
Sure.
should, okay, so
Go ahead
let's
and
just
revote.
do, let's do the
Remove it.
re-vote on this. So the June 26th meeting minutes, would someone like to make a motion that we approve them?
Move to approve.
Earl. Second by Charlie. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, there we go. Moving right along. Now to our October 16th meeting minutes, which I was here for.
I was.
Yeah, you weren't, but I was. Okay. So, again, did we have a chance to look them over and were there any comments, questions, concerns regarding? Okay, would someone like to make a motion that we, approve these minutes as submitted? And someone like to make a second?
I'd like to make a second.
There we go. Anyone like to make them, approve, I'll approve. Any opposed?
Abstain.
And none abstain. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we are through our meeting minutes. Our next item on our agenda is the Conklin site plan. Stony Ridge, Greg Conklin, and currently living at 15 Toby Woods. Okay, and this will also be a public hearing, so if you want to come forward and give us some info on what you've found so far. I'm so sorry. Adriana. Adriana. Okay. So we sent you on your merry way, and what were you going to find out for us?
Yes, Fred Shelley from DM Associates representing the applicant. From the last meeting, we had tabled the project for the application so that the applicant could make submission of the E5 permit, which is also open for discussion at the meeting here. So, yeah, continued review for the request for preliminary and final site plan approval. We've also included, as I said, the application for the EPOD permits. EPOD permits that are required for the site are EPOD 3, which is the Watercourse Protection Overlay District, and EPOD 9, which is the soil susceptible to ponding overlay district. So letter of intent was submitted along with the application. The letter of intent did address the town code requirements, address the different considerations for the board to have and review through the permitting process. We did receive comments from the planning board from the last meeting, and our intention is to provide the town with revised updated plans based on planning board comments, which included adding driveway slopes, finished floor elevations for the buildings. And then also there was some technical comments that we will be providing calculations for the town engineer to review as well.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding where we stand right now with this application?
So where is EPOD 3 in relation? It's regarding the driveway.
The Watercourse Protection Overlay District, essentially, I believe it's drafted through in the town mapping, it's about 100 feet on both sides of the swale or stream that runs through the site. So that district extends up there. So yes, it is just the driveway that is going to be within that area. As we've had discussions and in responses to the town comments regarding the grading along the sides of the driveways, we kept that at a 3-on-1, provided erosion control blankets, and then final vegetative stabilization of those slopes, to maintain those slopes while they're in there. That slope, 3-on-1, it's about as steep as, as comfortable. We can go steeper, but it's a comfortable slope that we can put in there. While keeping it steeper, we can maintain more of that buffer along the stream side. So that would be the intention of that.
Is there a culvert pipe?
Yes, there will be
In
a
addition to the.
natural bottom culvert that will go underneath the driveway where the stream is located. That pipe installation is covered under the nationwide, our U.S. Army Corps of Engineers nationwide permit 14, which is a self-administered permit. So as long as you provide the natural bottom culvert for their requirements, they'll allow you to install that culvert pipe. That permit also actually allows disturbance of up to 1/10 of an acre for 4,000 square feet of wetland area for installation of that without getting an individual permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. So we have provided a wetland delineation of the site, prepared a report and submitted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to get their jurisdictional determination on that.
Okay,
So it was submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers for their,
Yes, jurisdiction.
and your goal is to have them come back and say, you're good, you're covered by nationwide.
That's correct, yes.
and if that happens, how comfortable are you with? us,
Yeah, I think
doing
if the
that?
Army Corps comes back and says they're comfortable with it, we'll be pretty comfortable. I still would like to see a little more detail about the culvert. Do you have the sizing on it or any of the, I know in the EPOD application, you said you did do counts to make sure it's sized appropriately designed per standards. If you could provide us just with a copy of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Just
Yep.
see, and then, I don't believe on the detail sheet there were, construction details for the culvert.
That's correct. And I believe there was one of the comments from MRB.
Yeah.
Request to see that. So we'll definitely be providing those and including those.
And with that nationwide permit there, yeah, like you said, that 1/10 of an acre disturbance. In addition, I think it'd be helpful if you showed the approximate limit of disturbance on the plan, saying, this is the area we're gonna disturb temporarily within the wetland in order to accomplish that. That'll help with clarity.
Yes, and actually just a little clarification on that. We do provide limits of disturbance. They do get choked down right at that crossing there. It's the heavier dash line that comes through there. We're not anticipating disturbing any of the wetlands. It's just the stream bed where we'll be placing that culvert.
You've indicated you're putting an open bottom culvert in there.
It's called a natural bottom culvert, so they'll allow you either a pipe arch or you could do a
So
circular.
it's an arch pipe with no bottom.
Well, you could do an arch pipe with no bottom, or you could do a circular with a natural fill with inside of it.
Putting it deeper than what's required. And
That's-
your invert then becomes the natural.
Yes.
So which are you doing?
We have a circular pipe proposed.
Okay. Do you have anything telling you what the structure of that earth is there that you're putting that pipe?
The bedding up for the.
Not only the bedding, but the width of the area that you're putting the pipe in. In other words, I was there today and it looked like it was about 10 feet wide, just a full saturation. If you're going to put the pipe here and it's mucky on this side and on this side, what holds that pipe in that location?
Topsoil and any unsuitable soil would be removed, and then it would be backfilled with a structural fill.
Will you be, or someone from the organization inspect the installation here and verify it?
If the town needs that could be something that could be provided.
I would want that in the. Okay. The next thing I have is, I looked at the embankment here, and this embankment is a variation of embankments. In other words, when they put the road in here, they have the fill in here, and then you can see where they overfill, and it goes down and that's gonna back up. The stabilization of that soil there needs to be determined before you put that driveway in. Otherwise, the driveway is gonna be down here eventually, 2 years, 4 years from now. But the only last thing I have here, you have show the water line coming in a straight line from here to the house. The elevation here is going to allow the water to permeate from this drainage into that trench and go back to the house. You need some form of an anti-seep collar on this pipe here, or clay backfill specified, so the water don't attack that front wall of the basement.
I see what you're saying, yes.
It's all like that.
You got three things?
It's not just a, you want more?
No, I
Okay.
think that's great. Teresa?
I actually don't have it. Addressed everything last.
Okay. And Charlie?
Good.
No? So as we see, and how do, so I think we're all set as far as Army Corps of Engineers goes and where that driveway is going in the wetlands. As long as we get an okay on that, we're good to go with the, EPAD permit. Okay. I think, Earl's brought up a couple very good points here. And I don't know, how would you like to, we can add these to the approval. But we have to, I want to make sure that it's worded correctly and that it's done. the way.
My experience, that pipe will not stay there. It's going to move. It's going to move when you bring a vehicle in up to that pipe, because there's nothing there to support it.
We're talking about the culvert pipe.
The culvert pipe, that is correct. I would like to see some kind of a design showing it fixed in that point. Whether it's a concrete holding it in place, something to stop it from moving. That pipe has to be supported at the haunch up so far with good material or it's going to move. It also has to be supported or it's going to collapse when you bring a heavy truck over it, whether it's a fire truck or whatever. It won't have the structural integrity without a good support column on each side. So all this can be done without, but they're going to suffer in the future. And when they market the house, the next person will be. And I can't let that go by.
Okay,
What-
and so Emilio, how, do you have anything to add to this conversation about this,
I mean, they're good points, but, I guess some of it will potentially be covered by installation details of the culvert pipe, how it's bedded, if it's bedding up to the spring line, like you're saying. And then we can look at that and feel that it's perfect. Are there have you done or will you be doing some sort of test pits in the area, or are you just gonna construct based off of when you're constructing it, go until you get good subgrade and then?
That'll be up, when the contract, typically we, and our notes discuss, removing the topsoil
Yeah.
and suitable soils underneath pavement and then bringing that up with
Yeah.
structural, appropriately placed, so.
With that concern of the, how mucky it is in there, it might not be, or it probably would be a good idea to coordinate an inspection during that time. Subgrade type inspection to observe as contractors, excavating during the excavation of essentially the lowest point on the site where it's gonna be wettest, and just help make sure that, it's bedded properly.
okay?
I would rather see you do more disturbance. Than less and have a better job or a better pipe.
Okay, so we need more information regarding the driveway and the pipe.
Yeah, that analysis, we really,
Okay.
once you provide those details, we can take a look and get an idea.
Okay. And then what was the other two things?
The driveway here. We need to know what the fill is, where the existing proposed driveway is, because that's so steep. And I believe it's all fill there. So I think you're going to need to excavate that to determine what the structure of the soil is, where that new driveway's going.
Yes, and I can say that, our driveway details do discuss removing topsoil until you get to the suitable subsoil. So anything that's not a suitable.
Right,
soil-
but this is on at least a 30-degree angle.
Mhm.
And a 30-degree angle, you're not gonna take it down like this, you're gonna have to make it flat up in the base. Just want to be sure that the sub base under that driveway is proper.
I'm turning my head to the left and I'm gonna say, Emilio, what would you like to add to this part of the conversation?
I mean, if the construction details of the driveway do cover the removal of inappropriate subgrade and making sure, and they're appropriate for your driveway of that slope as well, I'll take another look at them, make sure they're perfect. Does the town have any records that they could provide them in terms of the, construction of that road,
I did not search them out. That this site was done in the early seventies, way before my time, so. I don't know whether they have them or not.
Yeah, because that's one thing that I could see as being helpful to work in conjunction with them if they have an idea of the road section that's theoretically below to make sure it's coordinated properly.
Okay, so then what are we specifically looking for in this instance? We're looking for, we need to know what is under there.
What is the existing soil where you're putting the driveway? Some form of testing, so you know what is there before you take the machinery in and excavate, and the contractor does it to get the job done and you suffer.
Okay? Is it a difficult?
Before you get into construction phase, it's a little bit difficult because it is quite this slope. Typically, what would happen is a contractor would go out, they'd begin stripping the soils, and then, I'm not sure if the town has a driveway inspection phase in their building permit, but typically the town building inspector would come out and review the subsoils before driveway placement, or that's another way of addressing that. We could explore doing some, preemptive test pits out in that area on that side of the roadway. We do want to make sure that we're not disturbing too much before Army Corps comes out and does their review, because we don't want to, rock the boat before that is. But I believe probably what could happen is prior to, and perhaps maybe a suggested condition is prior to driveway grading, the contractor shall perform test pits to review the existing conditions of the soil before they begin the disturbance or the cutting of that.
Were you going in there to do any other clearing by hand, weed eater, anything, so you can walk through that site, so your people can come in and look at it?
No, we typically leave them as they are. This is sometimes the board it doesn't get too happy because they'll look at vegetation out there as well. So if you do, any big clearing out there, that we like to keep that to a minimum, and they're used to walking through wetlands and pretty nasty areas.
And you had one more thing?
No,
Your third thing?
That's all, but third thing is an anti-seep collar on that water line to prevent the water from falling the ditch up to your house.
And is that something you can,
Yes, we can provide a
Easily-
detail for that.
okay, you
Yeah,
can
there
add
are
detail for that,
standards.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are tonight. We're whittling it down. We're gonna get there, right? Before it snows, we hope. So prior to the driveway grading, you're gonna do some test pits and make sure that soil is gonna be able to support that driveway.
That's correct.
We're gonna wait to hear back from the Army Corps of Engineers, correct? Regarding the EPOD 3.
Is that before the planning board will make an action, or is that a condition?
That would be probably a condition.
Okay.
Okay, I mean,
Yep.
because you can't do, I mean, one way or the other, I
we're
mean,
not-
we could have you come back 100 times and keep waiting for Army Corps, but if we just wait for them, then we're good with that. And the anti-seep, power, I'll get the word.
Let me ask you on that, Army Corps, how long will it take for them to get back approximately?
Okay,
We both have the same answer. Yeah, they do not do,
Do you think they should go ahead with approval on this without, on a conditional Army Corps of Engineer, or do you think it should wait?
I think like was said, it's either way, even if you wait or if you do conditional approval, they can't do anything really on the site until. So it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, you're ending up with the same product. I would think that a conditional approval would be sufficient, that as long as we get that Army Corps letter one way or another, then agree.
Okay.
Is everyone comfortable with that? And we're listening here? Don? Yeah, That
I'm
would
gonna
be a-
defer to the engineer on the drainage and.
And
wetland
all that,
stuff.
right,
Yeah.
so we could make that a condition then,
I'll put it in there as a condition. That's
okay.
the advice of the engineer, sure.
My only other thought with the driveway, potentially not to change things, but would again, coordination for a subsurface inspection and is that, would we be able to do a free flow right there? Would that potentially be more effective working on site before paving rather than doing test pits? When really you're
Are you
gonna trimming
listening?
it all anyways?
Did you listen to what Amelia just
can
said
hardly
about
hear
the
what he said.
driveway?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I was
I just-
suggesting potentially for the driveway where it comes off the road, rather than doing test pits ahead of time, would it potentially be more effective to, again, schedule a subsurface inspection when they're excavating? And then before they pave that section, because that top section is gonna be paved, correct? Before they pave that, do a proof roll, which essentially they
Yeah.
bring a fully loaded truck. Someone witnesses, make sure the
Right.
subsurface isn't deflecting or anything. That way
Yeah.
construction can keep going.
Okay,
That's a standard.
Yep, that would be what I would typically do.
so,
So that's a condition. So I need you to, sorry to say that again, since we're not, because I already had the test pit in there. I'll get rid of that and we'll,
So to coordinate a subsurface inspection with the town. And then at completion of grading, prior to paving, to perform a proof roll. And witnessed by the town.
You want to put a spec on the proof law? Or weight?
Yeah, but I probably look, off the top of my head, I can't tell you what I typically proof roll this type of driver with, but I could get that to you.
applicant shall coordinate a subsurface inspection of the driveway area, is that, or crossing area?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to specify the driveway area within the right of way or just the driveway area. It's really not for the entire driveway, it's at the top where it's intersecting Stony Ridge Drive.
Oh.
For the driveway area that will be paved, because the rest of it won't be paved. Right?
Okay,
So the driveway area to be paved, once you pave it, you're kind of seeing the rest of the top of that.
applicant shall coordinate a subsurface inspection of the driveway area to be paved at the time. I'm sorry. Be paved. After completion of grading, but prior to paving. Right?
Yep.
What's this? A roll to, I didn't hear the rest of some kind of roll test.
Yeah, a proof roll,
Okay.
witnessed by the town or engineer if or either anyone's comfortable doing that. If not, I can come out and witness the proof roll. I mean, typically on larger sites, it's a fully loaded 3-axle, 2-axle, but I can give you a spec on a proof roll.
so can we have that added as part of the condition too, that?
Yeah, I'll make a note. I'll get that over to you guys.
RB can put a spec on that,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, and then, so relative to the determination. So do we need determinations from the DEC, from the state and the feds, or just the feds in your opinion,
and
for the wetlands?
in this case, it would just be federal.
Okay,
because it's crossing over.
it's federal wetland.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's federal wetland, so it falls to their jurisdiction, shows.
okay, so prior to issuance of the building permit, applicant shall provide a jurisdictional determination by the Army Corps of Engineers. And we're gonna look for that to provide that an individual permit is not required.
Yes,
Is that what we're expecting?
yes. Yeah, essentially, it's a letter that is a bunch of long-winded Army Corps saying you're covered by the nationwide, you don't need an extra permit.
Okay. So instead, the proposal is covered by the nationwide permit. Okay. I'm actually a fast typer, but this is taking a while.
Yeah.
All right. And then another question, the EPOD, the wetlands EPOD, which is EPOD 3, actually provides that you need to put a 100-foot buffer from the wetlands. And obviously there is pretty much no buffer where the driveway crosses. So this wouldn't comply with the EPOD permitting, and a variance would be required. It looks like the code permits the planning board to grant a variance. So that's something the board's gonna have to do, I think, in order for this to move forward as it's currently
This being a
proposed.
federal wetland, do they need a buffer zone, or is it only the state?
The state's the only one with a 100-foot buffer. And then just for clarity, we're not disturbing wetlands. It's just the stream. So it's, the JD tells us where the wetlands are after the Army Corps goes.
Yeah.
The pipe can go in as long as we're following the nationwide permit, and we'll provide that guidance. The buffer, the reason that we're requesting this, the EPOD permit, is because there's no way to access the site without going through and without proper, or getting below that 100-foot buffer from the water course.
Is there a chance that the Army Corps, when they inspect that, when they look at the crossing, they view that it is too wide for you to do a short stream passage public across? That, oh, wait a minute, this is 10 feet or this is 15 feet, but we're only going to allow 4 feet. Is there a chance that they are going to say that?
They're not going to review the crossing. They're going to review the locations of the wetlands.
Okay,
The nationwide permit, it's self-administered, meaning that anyone can put this, can cross a stream or place a culvert in a stream as long as they're following the letter of the nationwide permit. So so the biggest thing with that, I could tell you, like, the what ifs is if Army Corps does not agree with our delineation, and maybe the wetlands grow and then they're within the disturbed areas. So then there's two options that we would look at is, are we disturbing under the 1/10 of an acre area? If we are under the 1/10 of an acre, then we can proceed with installation of the culvert and filling wetlands up to just below a 1/10 of an acre. If we have to fill more than a 1/10 of an acre, then we actually have to get an individual permit from the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a public hearing, so I need to open the public hearing, and I need to know if there is anyone from the public that would like to speak to this application before the board. No. Okay, then I guess we can close the public hearing. Do you guys need to make a motion?
to close the public hearing.
Yeah. Okay, do somebody make a motion to close the public hearing?
I did.
Okay, someone like to second it. Harley, okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Nope, okay. All right, and so one more time, Emilio, you're comfortable with this? If, with the conditions spelled out?
Yeah.
Have you seen the draft, resolution yet?
No, I have not.
You have not,
I can review it.
Let me ask something. Are we waiting for all these designs that we've been requested before we move forward, or how do you want to handle that?
For them to provide their calcs and stuff.
Yeah, the design items that you and Earl were kind of batting around, because I don't have that as a condition yet, but
I
I
think
can.
I'd like to see some form of design
before the approval?
before we give them
Okay.
approval.
The details regarding the culvert installation, bedding, all that,
Okay.
and then the calculations. for
Both the
sizing.
stream and the driveway.
So as it stands, I've modified the draft proposed resolution to include the conditions that we discussed relative to the jurisdictional determination by the Army Corps, confirming the delineation, right? They'll confirm it in some way, I'm assuming, and providing that an individual permit is not required. That, all right, and relative to the variance. Again, it's not because of the DEC, but the local town code requires a 100-foot buffer in the E-pods. And so that would require a variance by the planning board. And so, I don't know if MRB thinks that that's advisable or not, or whether there needs to be any kind of additional design elements incorporated in order to do that, but as it stands, again, the standard would require an exception.
In regard to, my view of it from an engineering perspective is the structures are outside that buffer, so the only true improvements are inside that buffer of the driveway. And in general, the site, if there isn't a significant amount of new impervious area that's gonna really impact the runoff of the site, I don't see it as having a major impact within the E-pod, considering it's just the driveway.
There's also no alternative location for it, really.
Correct.
That's a hardship. So that would be the reason to grant the variance to have that.
Yes, but if I may, the water course protection overlay district. That actually establishes that 100-foot buffer from that water course. So the reason we're getting a permit is because we need less than 100 feet.
Right.
Or, basically
that's
to go through it. So, yeah, I mean, that's essentially the request for the variance for that.
How do we approve the variance? Just by discussion?
Is that how it is?
Yeah, the code doesn't really specify the factors for the variance, so, in that case, I think it needs to be a reasonable basis for it.
Okay.
And I think you've just
Yeah, that,
discussed that. I've noted that in resolution, in the draft resolution.
okay. But for right now then, Amelia, you think it's better to wait or have a conditional approval tonight?
In terms of getting the additional calculations and details,
Yeah, do you think we should, I know, Earl would like that.
yeah, you could do conditional that upon our review of the details that they're appropriate and everything, and receipt and review of the stormwater calculations for the culvert, or we could wait.
What do
There's
you-
no rush on variance, right? Because it's gotta wait until we look at whatever new details.
Right, and they
provide.
can't do anything until the Army Corps, they
Right.
get the Army Corps approval anyway, and I think that, Earl would feel comfortable if he could actually see
I
that.
feel comfortable for them, because
Right,
they're
I
gonna
know.
have a documentation for that contractor on what they have to do and the completion of it and the approval, everything along with that. Otherwise, you're going to have a contractor that's going to do what he wants to do without a plan.
Yeah, it's a vulnerable little spot there. It needs to be correct.
Okay.
And our Earl is the guy.
Yeah, Earl is our guy, he's our man for this.
Oh, okay.
You're doing the approval. I got a truck.
Yeah, okay.
I think realistically, we're still waiting for the Army Corps jurisdictional letter, not to drag on or delay it, but I think realistically, taking this portion step by step will still probably be done before the Army Corps jurisdictional letter.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Doesn't necessarily impact the overall time.
so you'll be able to make those changes and additions.
Yes, it's 5 days before the meeting is by the time that the town wants to have that material back at the latest, so, yeah, we'll absolutely
Yeah.
be able to make that.
Okay. For our next meeting, or how long do you need to do that?
We
Give a couple,
We could have it for the next meeting, yeah.
what, do you know what's on our agenda for the next meeting?
Mitten subdivision.
Just was some.
Yep, just one.
All right, so we can get it done.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we'll.
So we'll table this.
Is that December 4th?
Yes.
When's our next meeting? It's at the third,
It
Yep.
would be yes, the third Wednesday of the month, so let's see. Should be the 20th.
the 20th. Is it
Yep.
midnight for the 20th?
No, they're on for the 4th.
Okay, so
Yep.
do we have anything on for the
Nope.
20th then?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, now we do.
We do now, huh?
Now we do, yeah. So we're moving forward here. We'll get this.
Very good.
I know it's so hard, isn't it? The waiting part of it and the, yeah. but it'll all be good. It'll all be good. And someday you'll thank us for this.
Thank you very much.
Someday, I'm not sure exactly when, probably not
We
tonight,
can
but
take it tonight. We can take it
someday
tonight.
you'll thank us for that. Honey, good night.
Career, I have, thank you. Very proudly in my office, but I've got one.
One thank you note, okay. There were probably other little subtle ones that people didn't even realize, because I think, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, no, no, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Oh, goodness, all right, and now, the next item on our agenda with a public hearing is the Batterson subdivision phase 3 resubmission. Hi, Scott, how are you?
Thank you. What's yourself?
He said,
That's great.
and who did you bring along with you this evening?
Greg.
Greg McMahon from the McMahon Group.
Hello, Mr. McMahon. So, Scott, we'll bring you back to the planning board.
My approval expired.
Approval's expired.
Yes. So I have been repay the application fees and there I am.
Right, so you've repaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're good on that. Any changes that you were making to any of the, to the plan itself?
One change, which was a slight enlargement of what's referred to as lot 7, which is I think it's Scott's eventually his lot. But it's the first, most northerly lot on Pine Spur Road. So that was just enlarged, which resulted in a slightly smaller area.
Did you bring that? Yeah.
Just gonna share with
I
me.
went through.
We all can open, so I'm gonna just share with you. I mean,
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Other than that lot change,
this one up here.
yeah, we've made some. Changes to the water main, but really doesn't pertain as far as it sounds. We've been working with the water authority. But we're still.
Where is the water main coming across now?
The water main is crossing. Water main is crossing in front of number 1286 Miles Square, where the existing hydrant, where the existing water main ends. It's when it's crossed Miles Square Road. And then proceed down the east side to the intersection of Miles Square and Taylor. Yeah, I've got one more sheet earlier where you've got the utility plan. There's the top section at the top of the page is the connection.
The water main now is existing here, right?
It's existing all the way up
To the valve, and you got a couple pipes sticking out of the valve.
couple pipes sticking out of there.
Okay, and you're gonna tie in that,
Right.
you're gonna block this here, and you're gonna come across.
Yep.
This part.
Right.
Now, where is this? Here,
That is, well, it's in front of. What's the Daniel and Amy Considine parcel? I don't have an address for that. But
It's a 25 acre small piece of land. And North Steins live in Prairie Falls. So
Okay, wait,
they're gonna benefit from.
what I'm looking at is that you are coming to a 90 here, and you're coming to a 90 here. And you're gonna excavate here, you're gonna take a problem to block this here on this side. When you come across, if it's near this, you would then put a pipe coming up here for your blocking and put a T in here, which minimizes your blocking here, gives you future water going to the back.
the water authority won't let us do that. The water authority will we'll do a 90-degree elbow with a concrete truss blocks.
Before they'll allow you to tee it and extend the pipe.
No, we had proposed originally. We were gonna put a T. For this back, for
yeah.
eventually. Water Authority made us remove it from the plans. They will not permit any Ts. Or T valves. They will permit any services that don't go to an
I
existing
guess
house.
lines have changed.
Yeah, they have. They're very strict on that. I mean, they are not flexible with regard to their requirements. So, these plans have already been reviewed by the authority.
For the hat.
Yeah, we haven't gone for final signatures yet, but we submitted them for review. And, they had us adjust a couple of the hydrants. So there's gonna be 3 new hydrants along the section of water main. And they had us revise that spacing a little bit, but those, we tried to eliminate a hydrant and get away with only 2, and they made us throw the 3rd hydrant in. So again, I don't have too much flexibility with what the water, but they will not permit future Ts or valves or stubs.
What we always did.
We did, we'd run services for future lots. They can't do none of that anymore.
Yeah, I can back that up. That's Water Authority. It's very difficult to get them to put in guidance for future.
Yeah, they don't want the stagnant water.
And then they end up with, and nothing ever happens. They end up with leaks and maintenance issues, and they don't want to deal with it. So, but as I say, we've already had this
Okay.
before the authority, and we're ready to, once we've addressed any town issues and the town side, that should be signed.
Anybody else have any other questions? I know that we've reviewed this several times. And you did have a previous approval for this. The only real change that we see is the larger lot for you. And, I will say that, a neighbor did, send a letter to the planning board. And, the concerns in that letter were pretty much addressed by your seeker, by the other things that we've done. So, just know that there was some neighbors that had a few concerns, but, again, this is a public hearing. So when it's time to open the public hearing, if your neighbor is here or wants to speak, they can, and we can consider anything that they say at that point, so.
It's fine.
Okay.
There's a couple things. I just want to point out that this is like a loss, net loss, my water main extension. It's, the materials alone are over 100,000. And, I did at one point try to seek approvals for wells. And that request was denied by Katrina. I don't know if you ever saw anything about that. But my understanding is I have to move the water, if I'm gonna move it at all, to only where I own. So, knowing the amount of money I'm losing on this, I kicked around the plan of selling some more frontage with wells, then moving it to where I'm comfortable. So, that's something I'm having a hard time with, the amount of money I'm just losing. And the way I calculate it, and I'll share it. A lot of this size in that location may sell for 65,000 sourced by well water versus with county water 90. Therefore, the difference 25K. So 4 lots being supplied, 100,000 materials alone before labor are that number. So it's tough, because I'm asking others that are going to benefit to contribute. And they legally don't have to, and, it's who's gonna, and the other thing is, in other areas, other states like the Villages, for example, in Central Florida, Orlando, they have bonds, so they push back, obviously, the cost on, whoever's buying this, so they, may or may not have a mortgage, they may or may not, have the ability to pay their bond up front, but it's quite an undertaking, and, I'm actually not much different than you guys financially. I believe it was Mike Simmons, said once before he's witnessed this, that was, one of the owners of Ishi Mall, Wilmot, that had to move it, over 1,000 feet, so it's hard for me to justify doing this. I've got to be as smart as I can, have as little hydrants, within Monroe County's spec. We did remove the boring pit, which gave me the ability to justify this, but that's the highway department. And if they come back and say there's no way around the street cut, which is ideal for installing the pipe, from an installation perspective, making sure everything's done correctly, but if somehow they aren't able to approve the boring pit, then I'll be back to do wells, because there's a certain amount of money I'm like gonna lose, but I've already determined how much that is, and I'm not gonna go above it. The boring pit alone would have 40,000 of loss. So, I mean, you guys really don't have any say in the boring pit, because that's the highway department. I will tell you, Corey Gates, the code enforcer, is gonna benefit from water. And, I think, maybe that has something to do with the influence of doing this job right with the street cut, who knows, but,
I don't,
well, as far
Corey's
as
Corey's across the street from,
with the well,
with a well, but he
Right.
is across the street from you. Right?
well, not from where I'm going to be, but he's a.
Well, I know, but he's on the opposite side of the road.
Yeah, so basically, once the water's in, we may get together and give him the ability to purchase a tap. Get with Monroe County Water, where he could pay maybe $3,500 in application fees and missile the water underneath the road. And therefore, have a significant increase in the value of his house. These wells aren't bad out here. It's just, there's issues that I'm concerned about, like fire suppression, but. And it will be nice to have some hydrants, and you can't beat the county water, like.
Well, and part of our comprehensive plan for the town of Mendon incorporates, improvements in utilities and things moving forward. I know it's a large undertaking for you. And,
Well,
it might be,
Like, I don't have $1 million cash in my bank, who does?
well, no, not me. But anyway, but we still have to stick with, you did have an approval. And your approval was based on certain conditions.
So, and I just want to clarify something briefly for the record. First, I don't know, I don't think the board knows whether the prior planning board secretary made any representations relative to wells or not wells.
No.
But this board here is here to do the job relative to the plans. The code enforcement officer has authority to make certain decisions. This board has certain authority to make certain decisions. And this board's, before the board right now, you're proposing the water line and you proposed it the last time around.
I mean, it's kind of a moot point, my loss, but I just wanted to pipe up a little bit, because I'm doing a good thing for this community, and
But
there's a lot of other land that has been developed around here, and nobody was really pressured, I feel like I have been, to move water. And a lot of that also might have been, I'm sorry, but not having these plans till after things were signed, and then, getting some revisions to make it a little more affordable, which happened after they had expired, our approval. So, we can talk about it, I'm cool
So,
chatting, but.
I just want to say too, and I'm not sure I'm gonna be speaking out of turn here.
Well, then maybe we shouldn't. I guess what I'll say now is, we have an application before us that has a water main on it, and it speaks for itself. Is this the application you're moving forward with tonight? for
It
approval?
is, and maybe one question is, are you aware of any cost reductions, like as a community, or, with your position, I mean, is there anything you guys can do to even help? I don't know. Tell me. I mean, why not ask? Sorry to ask.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything that's.
Yeah, so there's no bonds. There's like money out there for, curing lead pipes and whatnot, and existing water mains, trillions of dollars throughout the US, but nothing for new installations. In fact, they've made it much harder because now, as of 2024 January, the pipes have to be zinc coated. Who knows, maybe diamond coated eventually. I'm just kidding, but I mean, that in itself added 20% of the cost. So it's really something you're gonna see less and less of, the water main extensions. It's just hard to justify losing money. So, in a lot of cases, you'll be developing on both sides of the street. Here, this is a small project. There's only 4, potential lots here. So, like, if there was 8, yeah, then maybe breaking even, et cetera, profiting is certainly one, but that's it. All right, so Earl just flipped the map. So Wally brought up, a density.
I'm gonna,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
let me just jump in. So I'm gonna ask that we maybe focus on the application before us. If the board, if you want to go into further concepts, I think it's gonna open up, as it stands, actually, a resident has raised a concern about future development of agricultural lands. As I understand it, as the board understands it, that's not being proposed at this time. If that is something that's being proposed at this time, that may put the board in a position where now we need to look at that for this current application. So
Right.
I guess where I'm at is, let's focus on the application before us, and maybe
So-
your engineer can help.
I want to talk a little bit about that, just because, I own this whole field and the woods and big chunk of land, so. Right now in front of us, we have an application, right, for just these, but, I've got right of ways and. Addressed previously is the amount of farmland, open land in Mendon. Don, I remember you saying it really shouldn't be a factor, but the reason I'm bringing it up.
No, I
is-
actually don't remember speaking to that not being a factor, but I do remember our seeker for this saying, for this application and the prior 3, basically, the board seeker saying that because there's so much land left over that's available to be farmed for this application and the prior one, that the board was willing to and did actually issue a negative declaration relative to this proposal. What I am saying is if you're telling us that there's a future proposal on the table for additional development, then the board will need to consider that in its seeker assessment and will not be able to just reaffirm its underlying seeker. It's going to have to look into that. So
Let me just be clear and honest. There's farmland everywhere around there. In fact, like the Clarks, there's no residential houses within sight. The lot I sold them, but, so I mean, I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. It's just farmland, but. What I will say is, this has been a humbling experience to the power of knowledge, having it early, as well as me maybe not having an understanding of the expense involved with development, even achieving my own personal dream and goal of, bringing my kids up in the same district that I went to, HFL. I grew up across the street, or there on Victor Minden Road. My parents were blessed to have built a new house for my brother and I. We had an awesome childhood. So I don't think, I'm gonna have a need to submit an application soon for getting back and maximizing the density of my land. But I did leave a few right of ways and, let's face it, I mean, I'm not gonna be here forever, none of us are, and I have 2 beautiful kids, and nothing would make me happier than not only for them to inherit it, but have the ability, if they're still here in Western New York and Mendon, to be close to me. And, for you to say, like, we don't know, like, I mean, I'm spending a lot of money. I'm doing a very good thing for a lot of people that are gonna benefit from public water. county water, and like, it's kind of scary for me to hear that, you know, maybe I can't even achieve my dream of letting, you know, opening up a path for my kids to be able to have houses back there. Now, these right of ways they enable private drives, dedicated roads, you know, it's good land. But I kind of want to get more of a answer on that of, like, hey, God, like, are you really able legally to lock me out of being able to, like, have future development on my own land? Like, that's crazy. I mean, I just witnessed you guys approving somebody potentially going over a.
Mr. Batterson, I'm gonna have to ask you to focus on the application. This is,
I'm
put
a lot of money into this, so I just wanna
Yeah.
know what's going on. That's all I'm
if you
saying.
need advice on what the town's authority is relative to future development, I'd advise you to seek counsel,
Who is?
an attorney.
Oh,
Yeah,
because it's already pre-mapped, the density requirements, you know, it's less than an acre out there.
again, the board here is
Okay,
just to
that's
be.
fine. Well, I'll stay focused, but.
Well, no, what I
let's-
want to, let me finish. I just want you to know and make it clear for the record that the board is considering this 4-lot subdivision right now, and any future consideration is not before the board right now. If it were to come before the board in the future, then the board would need to look into these other considerations. This opening here on your map is not a right of way. It's nothing. There's
It's
nothing there.
nothing.
So.
It's an access path.
can I
to
finish?
Charmin
You mind?
Garden or nothing.
So, the board is bound to consider what's before it, and that's what it's doing. And again, the board would like for you to know that if there is any future proposal, it's gonna have to consider all the impacts it had to consider for this proposal. And a letter came into the town, raising concerns about potential future development of farmland, so that will be a concern in the future if there is future proposal. There's no, you know,
Right.
the board can't pre-approve or pre-deny anything. This is all it's got before it right now.
It's fine, but there is something I want to talk a little bit about. I'm sorry, just one more thing. Now, you're taking 20 feet for a right of way for sidewalks.
You know what, I'm so
Well,
sorry,
I just-
Scott, I know that you.
The right of way for the sidewalks was.
I know that you're very passionate about this, and I understand that you have a huge investment here. I understand you're trying to, you know, seek what's best for your family today, and also trying to seek what might be best for them in the future. But with that said, we have this, it's been approved. Okay, you're just seeking reapproval. If we just look at this as it is, we're gonna make the one lot just a little bit bigger. But everything else stays the same, you're good to go. But if you start wanting to do other things,
No,
then it's just gonna make it more difficult for all of us. So I know you like to think like through what's happening and what's gonna be in the future, and that's admirable, because you do have a family and you do need to think about them. But for right now, let's just focus on this. And that it's already been approved, so you don't really have to do anything else other than be reapproved.
that's fine, but do you not want to talk at all about the 20 foot of right of way for the sidewalks? I was just curious.
I don't know that it's gonna do, I don't know that it's gonna make any difference.
Look, can I just ask the applicant and the applicant's agent to confirm that this is the application before us that we're being asked to review? Or are we looking at
No,
something
this-
else?
This is the application, that we're asked to prepare. We've made the revisions requested. There is, there are a couple of easements proposed. Monroe County Water Authority is taking a 15-foot frontage easement, which is a standard procedure with them. And the town has asked for a 20-foot sidewalk utility easement, which overlays the 15-foot. They actually occupy the same space. And I know, you know, that the easements are within the front setback, so they don't impact any development on the lots. They don't restrict anything. And if the sidewalks, if the town wants to construct sidewalks in the future, they would do that at their expense or at the taxpayers'. So Short answer to your question is this is the application we are in here asking to be approved.
Yeah, if, you know, I think the board, correct me if I'm wrong. Chairman, the board would invite and encourage the applicant to withdraw this application. And modify it or reconsider it if applicant needs legal counsel or further counsel from his engineer or surveyor or wishes to consider the future or change plans. But as it stands, this is the board's hold on a minute. This is what the board's considering, nothing more and nothing less. But you're making it very difficult for the board to
I have
to
a
determine
question
what
that's
it
going
is.
real quick.
that it's actually,
Right.
that you're asking for right
It's
now.
fine. My question for my engineer is regarding our septic and our perk tests.
Oh, we can,
I can
I
still
don't
make
think,
adjustments or
let's,
no?
yeah, the board, it's not dealing with perk tests or septic systems.
Okay, that's fine.
If-
That's
if-
good. That's
if-
what I need to know.
We can handle that with Monroe County on our own.
All right,
So-
good to hear. I'm good then.
Yeah, we can,
I didn't put this application.
so this is the application that we wish to put before.
Let's move forward.
Yes.
Okay,
Public
so
hearing.
I was just gonna say, let's open up the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to be heard regarding this application? And I don't think so. Okay, so do I have a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, Earl, second, by Teresa, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Next, moving forward. Would someone like to make a motion that we approve the plans as put forward by Mr. Batterson? And along with the conditions that had been previously established? Is that a good way of putting that? or
I mean, I
should
think
we put that?
you're moving it pursuant to the written resolution,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a lot, and you're incorporating the conditions that were,
Right, all the
involved.
conditions that were involved with the original approval should be incorporated with this approval tonight.
and I think there, so it looks like there. You have a written resolution before you, board, and that's being moved, correct? There are 8 conditions.
Yes, and you somewhere. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
these
this-
have not changed. They are the same conditions that were presented to you prior. That you were in agreement with. And as long as you are still in agreement with that, we can.
I don't know what I agree to, but if he says yes.
Yeah, we addressed all the conditions previously, so yes.
Okay, so you both are in agreement that these conditions will be. Are the conditions moving forward?
Yes.
Anybody else?
I mean, the applicant's shaking his head no, so.
Oh,
I just don't know what I'm trusting in good faith that my engineer is looking out for my best interests. And
Well, you're out there, you can ask to review the resolution and have them address it at the next planning
we
board
can,
meeting.
we can absolutely do that because really you should not feel pressure.
Yeah.
So,
so I just can't answer
Yeah.
yes or no, but yeah.
Well,
You can give him the
Yeah.
copy of the resolution.
I mean, you can come back to, you wanna take a minute, a couple weeks to look that over and come back to our next meeting?
Times of the essence,
Yes,
so tell
okay.
me a little bit about the schedule, please.
So
No, not tonight, I meant the project timeframe is.
Here's, I'm gonna suggest this.
Try to keep.
Why don't you take that resolution with your engineer and go have a look at it? We'll hear the informal discussion and then you could come back and we can move forward.
I
with this.
appreciate that, I'd like to see you after that. if
Okay,
that's
that would
okay,
be-
too.
Yeah, that way there you see what's before you.
All right, very good.
All right, there you go. So we'll see you in a few.
Did we open and close the public hearing?
I closed it, yes, I closed it.
No one's here to speak.
No
Okay.
one's here to speak, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, can you believe I actually remembered to do
I thought
all
you
of those
did.
steps?
I
like-
thought you did.
Okay, so now moving forward on our next item is our informal meeting with Patricia Brown and Jonathan Friedlander. So feel free to come on up and we understand from that you are considering, requesting a special use permit for an equestrian facility,
With an existing one, yes,
an existing one,
correct.
okay.
So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here for an informational meeting, because I think it's, well, it's certainly helpful for us, and I hope will allow everything to be in order when we do come to make a formal request for it, so thank you for that. Just to look at site plans that Marathon Engineering did for us, that's again, it's an existing, got a large copy here.
It's an existing,
It's Oak Ridge Farm. It's Oak Ridge Farm, 951 Pitcher Menon Road. Individual copies as well.
is it existing as, a public or, private?
No, it's Oak Ridge Stables LLC.
Oh,
So-
okay, so it is
Is that
an,
on the east side of the road?
No, it's on the west side, right before you come to the thruway. Across from Bull Road.
Okay.
Did you want
That the white barns up there by the bridge?
to? Yes. All the white fencing. and-
Yeah, the old Firestone place?
Yes. Exactly. I don't know if you want to.
Sure, thanks.
Sure, if you want to talk.
Thank you.
Sure, so, it's a little historic, so it has been a farm since 1814. So it's been, I think it was an Eckler farm, so that's when originally founded, so it's been around as a homestead for over 200 years. The Firestone family, or it's the Hunter family, it's Eleanor Hunter, Toddy Hunter, people who know her. Her family has owned it since 1952. So for 70 years, it's been an equestrian facility. I don't know that if it was prior to them, but I know that they've had horses since then, big equestrian family, carriage driving and all sorts. And at one point, I think they had 35 horses on the property and carriages, and you'll see on the maps, it's referred to as the carriage barn because she was very much a participant in Walnut Hill carriage driving competition, and one of her claims of fame is she was in England, she met the Queen, so
Oh,
she'll
wow.
tell you that.
yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's different, so, and not driving a.
Just gonna say.
So, so suffice it to say, it's, you know, as far as memory can have, it's been a equestrian operating facility, boarding, teaching, riding, driving. Up until recently in 2022, I think they had as many as 22 horses there. And roughly, close to 20 boarders, so people coming and going and using the facility, and their riding arena. We've been told is the first riding arena in the area, in the region, but indoor, excuse me, first indoor riding arena in the area. So it's been this for a really long time. Currently, they have, 1 pony and 3 horses. So it's a very underutilized equestrian.
What is your role in all of this?
That's what I'm getting. So, we have experience in, providing equine services to individuals to benefit physically, mentally, emotionally. And we, also have a strong relationship with the Hunter family, and it's a very underutilized facility now as of a couple of years ago. Mrs. Hunter asked all of the boarders to leave for reasons she needed to sort of have fewer horses on the property, and it started to get real quiet, I think, and at the same time, we were discussing with them, and people were reaching out to us, people we know can benefit from working with horses and benefiting from nature, and it's a beautiful piece of property for those who are familiar with it. And so we talked to them, and we decided that we could bring back some of the equestrian community to her, and she's quite isolated now, and so it was a good way to bring some horses back. We have brought back onto the property there's 2 horses and 4 ponies, so it's still very small and very underutilized. What we've been doing, and a lot of it has been with police officers and law enforcement. We've had some people coming out to experience what it's like to work with horses and what it's like to be in nature. And we've had some, one day we had 20 kids from Camp Good Days and special times, 4 to 7-year-olds with cancer. Came out and spent some time just petting ponies and getting to know ponies. And so, and I've had a long relationship with Camp Good Days and special times, well, since almost the beginning. And I actually put together their international program for them years ago. And so very strong ties with them. There's some interest from them that, if we were to do something like this, they would bring back some of these smaller kids who are too young to go to the camp. They have groups of women who have cancer that get together, and they could see trying to find a group to do that. So what we've been doing is we've been approached by different law enforcement agencies, local, state, and federal, to come and try to spend time doing things like this. And I don't know, most people don't know this very tragic statistic, but the average life expectancy of a male in the US is 75 years old. The average life expectancy of a male police officer is 55. And very little of that has anything to do with being killed in the line of duty. It is stress related, it's stress illnesses, it's addictions, and it's suicide. We find the same sort of things with veterans. We have experience working with veterans and horses. Very powerful stuff. And I personally have had 6 veterans tell me that they would have committed suicide if it wasn't for some of the work that we've done with horses. And so, given an underutilized facility, given people reaching out to us and saying, could you help us? We have now realized that there's a demand for this. And so it's at this point in time that we want to come to you to say, we recognize that even though it's an existing horse facility, even though it's been used for riding and teaching and things over the years, we recognize the need for a special use permit. So now that we know people want to come to it, we feel that it's a time to now come to you and say, we'd like to get a special use permit to be able to do this.
And then just doing basically a feasibility study.
Well, that's what we've been doing. And, sort of, if we build it, will you come kind of thing. And we've had state and federal law enforcement reach out to us. I've got a lot of connections with law enforcement and military. So they've reached out to us to say, we need places like this. Todd Baxter's a good friend. And Todd Baxter has, as some of you may know, Denny Wright. I was the person who introduced Denny to horses. For those of you who don't know Denny, he's a RPD officer that was blinded in the line of duty a number of years ago. And he now will tell you that the single best thing he's done since he was attacked is to work with horses.
Did you know Danny Woods?
Yeah, I know who he is. I've known who he is.
Yeah. Pal of mine, he passed away just a couple years ago.
Yeah, my brother was RPD for 20-something years, and now he's with Monroe County. But so very connected, and somebody reached out and asked if I would introduce Denny to horses, and we did, and he has, and now he's riding. So it's incredible to see him riding a course. Anyway, so again, the reason we came before you now is that because we know there's a demand, because there's this facility that's underutilized, and we know this kind of work helps people. We want to see how we can, what we need to do specifically, other than obviously the forms are on the website. We know that we have them here. We are intending to go through them
Right.
and do everything that needs to be done. We've also had some seniors come out from the Highlands of Pittsford and Cloverwood Senior Living, and again, just for them to be able to get out, and they don't ride the horses, but they have come out and experienced and have said what a difference it makes for them. So it's some groups that really could benefit. We've reached out to the neighbors. There's sort of 6 that are most closely related across the street and to the side. They're all very much in favor. We have now letters in hand from 4 out of the 6, plus Mrs. Hunter is going to be writing a letter, obviously. And there's a gentleman whose daughter has been coming out on a weekly basis she grooms one of the ponies. And he's the CEO of Thompson Hospital. We've got a really nice letter from him looking at it from father. He's a neighbor. He actually lives in the new it was called the Ridge Project.
Mhm.
Just down the road, he's a mile and a half from the project. So he's a neighbor, he's a father, he's also a hospital administrator that recognizes the benefits. This is just one example of, this is the neighbor who lives across the street. Yeah, two more copies. There you go, Al. Or else. Done.
Oh, thank you.
Right, Don't want to even fill that down.
So,
Thank you.
so what is your business relationship going to be with Mrs. Hunter?
Okay,
So I mean, is she gonna be running the business?
no,
or
so,
you-
so Equistrong is a registered, it's in the New York, registered in New York State, it's got a 501(c)(3).
Okay.
Determination from the IRS, so it's
What's the name of that?
Equistrong. It's, should be on the map itself or in the letter there.
Okay.
Equistrong, equus meaning horse and then combined with the word strong. So it would operate, we signed a shared use agreement.
Okay,
With-
that's where I was going with it.
Yeah, so it's all sort of legal accepted by the Hunter family, by Toddy. She still has, again, this pony and 3 horses, and she's got a couple of individuals. One has been working there for 45 years. And, you know, they take care of the property and they, you know, help maintain things, and then our piece there would be to, in fact, she wants us to use one of her horses in this, because he doesn't have a job anymore since she doesn't ride anymore. He used to be a fox hunting horse. And so it's a very good shared use of this property where, you know, she likes seeing kids out there. She likes seeing cops. She met Sheriff Baxter, who came out for a visit. And so she really appreciates how this land is being used. Apparently her husband, who passed away about 30 years ago, really loved this land. And, you know, I think we sent some pictures to the girls. She has 2 daughters. One lives in England, one lives in North Carolina. And they both wrote back and said, Dad would have loved this. So they appreciate how this land is being utilized. They appreciate that we're trying to help keep it as a horse farm, to help, and it's intended to be that. And so we're trying to do our best to help be good stewards of the land and help people at the same time.
And your title in all of this would be administrators or?
We've been running the operation separately. We have our own insurance for it. She has her liability insurance, but there's a line that's drawn between, you know, what she's responsible for and what we would be, and she's a named insured on anything that we have or would have. So that.
And you are named insured on hers also?
Correct, yes. So we're all, you know, protected. And then anybody that would come out here would, you know, sign the releases of liability and things of that nature.
What is your best estimate as to the number of people that you will be bringing in?
Not
Not at one time, but over a period of time. In a week's time, would you be bringing in 10 or 20 or?
I mean, again, our idea is not to make this, get in as many people as we can. This is more about
Need.
but doing it in a certain way that it is engaging the individual from start to finish. This isn't, okay, you're 45 minutes or up on the horse, get off because somebody else is waiting. This is if having somebody involved to the best of their ability, so that if they're able to go help get the horse on the pasture, help pack the horse, groom the horse.
Yeah, I'm looking at the size of the horse shed and how many animals do you plan on having?
Which horse are you referring to?
The only one I see.
Oh, well, that's the only one the other, if you look at this, it says barn and riding arena.
Mhm.
It probably should say stables and riding arena.
Okay,
So
so
there's,
that will house and the animals in there too.
yes, so there's, how many 10 on either side?
There's 14 in the main barn.
14 stalls in this barn. There's actually, our horses are the way we like to have horses live outside all year round. So, for example, this actually is marked as a run-in shed, which means it's open on one side. This provides shelter, so they live outside 365 days a year.
A running shed.
A run-in shed. It's better for them. It's healthier for them. It's better for them. So ours right now are, that's the way we live, so it'd be a combination, her horse, her 3 horses and the pony, they live inside in stalls inside this barn. It has capacity to do more. If we were to bring more, we would come to you to build more running sheds.
That was my next one.
That's.
Yeah, right now, we're not building anything. This is
Oh, you-
all
all
existing.
existing. Do you
All
have to
existing.
upgrade anything?
No, well, if we put in a fence line. We put in a fence because we wanted to divide the pasture in 2.
Are you going to utilize just the indoor arena, or are you going to change over any of these fenced areas into exercise areas?
They're not riding spaces, they're just, so right now, all we do, there's a field out here.
Yes, yes,
This, and so sometimes, you know,
this was clear, right?
yes. So sometimes, actually, that's farm. This is all farmed by Jared Brush right here. This is grass right here. So sometimes when it's dry, we'll ride out there. Riding in here, something might go down a little, walk down the driveway. But as of now, construction of no other, and these aren't suited to ride in. These are for the horses to live in.
Do you have a place that you're going to dispose of the manure on the horses?
It all gets spread here. Before, again, for 70 years, I think it's been spread here.
I'm just looking at things for you to prepare with your presentation coming back.
Yes, yeah. So I would venture to say that because the number 4, this area supported 35 horses
Mhm.
in this area here. And we're talking now, you know, probably 10 to 15 at max.
What is the size of this parcel?
It's it's 98. It's just under 100 acres. I think it says someplace on here. The exact number, here we go. No, it says it on here.
Yeah, 98.25.
Yeah. 98.25. They used to have 200 acres across the street here, additional. That used to be part of theirs,
Mhm.
and it's not any longer, so it's contained in this 100 acres roughly. But again, everything is existing, everything we would be using is just how it's been used
Right.
for decades.
So probably the next step for you would be to complete your special use permit
Okay.
application.
And check out section
I
2.
was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, you got it.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
You can take it.
Yeah, I think it would, and this is the first time hearing about this, so you want to confirm this with the code enforcement officer, but they're probably going to point you to section 260-51, and there's a list of,
I think that's what we've been looking, that's what we've been working on.
there's a list of requirements. So you're going to want to submit an application that shows you meet those requirements.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's, for example, we've already checked, it's not in the 100-year floodplain or things of that we've identified. I don't even know if it's required, but we identified where the fire hydrant is and the entrances and some of the things that, you know, parking is identified because we know
Right,
questions about parking.
right.
Earlier question about numbers. You know, I think that it is not, what I was starting to say before is we're trying to treat this more sort of an individual type basis. There will be groups, like we mentioned, the group of 20 little kids from Camp Good Days. That's not a regular occurrence to have 20 people at one time. That was, you know, something that they came out for a few hours in the morning. You know, there have been things that Sheriff Baxter has asked us to do where we might have groups of deputies and maybe even their families on occasion, but not on a weekly, daily basis.
You show your entrance and exit there. Do you bring your hay and everything in from that location and all folks too?
Well, there's one on West Bloomfield here as well, and it's next, but right now we just bring our hay in a pickup truck. Yeah, they have brought in for years. Jared Brush would come in with a flatbed and bring, well, before Jared was probably somebody else, but he's too young to have been done it.
Yeah, it's for too long.
For too long, but I know now that he brings it in, and actually, I think it's Larry Knickerbocker, excuse me, brings in the hay. Jared farms it, but Larry brings in their hay. And then they have their shavings delivered, back to shaving, but it all comes in through this, through your garbage truck.
Just another thing to address.
Yeah, big Casella garbage truck comes in and picks up garbage there, and that's their contract, not ours. So
This is a very admirable
Well, thank you,
undertaking,
thank you.
supported solely by donations.
No, we will, we will get to a point, we haven't up until now, because again, this has been, I've got the term you used, the feasibility.
Feasibility study.
Yeah, so we haven't been charging to get people to come and see how it worked. We
Right.
wanted to see how it, if it was suitable, if they wanted to, sign up and do it. With our experience, this is something that always will require fundraising
Yes.
and donations
Yeah.
and grants and things like that. But there will be, whenever possible, some fee for service,
Okay,
but it's highly subsidized by fundraising,
great, okay.
so.
I mean, I was just
No, it's a
curious
fair
as-
question, but
because it really is such an admirable undertaking. And there is such a need.
thank you.
And it's a good fit for our community, I think, too.
I do too.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
So, like, as I said, so your next step is to fill out the application.
Yes,
Get it,
started, yeah,
get it submitted.
Yeah.
Make sure that you review that section of the town code regarding special use permits so that you have an answer to all the questions, they outline it. Yeah, right, the whole thing, just make sure that, they're going to know about lighting and,
yeah,
sanitation and all of that, and just make sure you're prepared for that
okay.
when you come, just so we don't have to send you back and forth.
No, and that's-
times.
That's why we wanted to come first.
So, but it seems like you guys have your ducks in a row and you're pretty much ready to move forward here,
Yeah.
so. I think that would be their next step, right? I mean, we can ask all kinds of questions, but really, a lot of the questions we would ask tonight would be answered in your application.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. And I think, I'd like to, as I said, I think one of the things that we have that we're confident on is the fact that what it has been for so long and the fact that we're not proposing to change anything.
Right.
We're just trying to utilize what's already there and
yeah,
keep it rolling.
very nice,
So,
very
something
nice.
the actors would be proud of.
Aw. Don, can you think of anything else that we should share with them before we release them to their?
No, this is informal, it's non-binding both ways.
Yeah.
I think we've had a nice discussion tonight, and the next step is gonna be to submit a formal application, and we can dig in a little more from there.
I guess one question I have is just sort of is there anything that jumps out at you that isn't on here on a map like this in terms of? We tried to identify every building, as I said, that's a running shed that we didn't identify. Entrances.
Maybe parking.
Yeah. So some of it is,
Assumption location, if there's that one made for that lighting.
Those are all the things that they should be addressing when they submit their
Yeah.
application.
Not just existing, but proposed items.
Proposed.
okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to think of wanting to have a dumpster, where would we put it? Okay, we don't have.
Where's-
to do that.
And where's the parking gonna be, and how many spaces are there, stuff
Okay,
like
well,
that.
yeah, we identified where it is, but we'll count.
Right.
Are you gonna mark the parking areas? No parking in this building.
Yeah, it's again, it wouldn't be we don't want to impose upon the Hunter family and say we've got to.
Exactly.
But I have no problem lining up car to car to car, give you a count.
I would suggest bringing your insurance person in and see the site for you and give you some advice or pointers of what you should look for to protect yourself.
Okay. And, and I know that, she had her attorneys go through, this shared agreement, and we did as well, just to make sure that points like that, everybody was comfortable, and
Yeah.
the main thing is, from her perspective and her daughter's perspective, that, they're very supportive of what we're doing, but they have to look out for their mom first,
Yeah.
as they should.
As they
right?
should, yes.
Okay,
Are you proposing any lighting or no?
I think the only thing that, and I don't know if this would,
Like light poles, not building?
no,
No.
no. If anything, they're thinking of trying to change some things over to more efficient. Like LED kind of lighting. It would obviously meet town code in terms of, no, restrict or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the
Heights
term?
and all that.
Yeah.
The spillover.
Yeah, or when it goes upward.
Right, right.
Are you
But-
considering signage or?
It has existing signage now as Oak Ridge Farm. I think, That's a good question.
Again, that will be
Yeah,
one of the things in
okay.
the,
You know,
yeah.
it's something that I will actually bring up with Mrs. Hunter to see how she feels about it. I'm comfortable with saying, you know, Equistrong at Oak Ridge Farm, at Oak Ridge Stable, so therefore people just could go toward that existing.
Right.
You know, Oak Ridge Farm.
My last insurance visit, they told me to put house numbers very visible out by the road,
Mhm.
so
There is
easy
one.
to see.
That one is there. The 951 is there. Very visible right by the Oak Ridge Farm sign. And right now, that's sort of what we're doing. It's, you know, it's proposing Equistrong at Oak Ridge Farm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To give her, you know, pay homage to her as well. So.
That's so nice. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming
Thanks
in,
for having
bringing
us.
in your project, and I'm like excited for you too,
Oh,
so.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep, just
Appreciate
get
it.
everything submitted and then we'll have you back and we'll start digging deep into the questions that we may
Okay,
have.
and so just to understand correctly, Brooke, I think, is it the most feasible time for us potentially the December 18th meeting? Is that
Typically, upon receival of the application, it's minimum of 5 weeks.
right? So I think if we did the math, if it was in by the 13th,
By the 13th, yes, November 13th, and I think that would push it out to the end of December. Yes, it'd be to December 18th, I believe.
yeah, I think that's, okay, that's sort of our goal. We'd like to
Yep.
be able to go into the
New
the
Year,
new year with, you know, with approval if possible, so that we can say, here we are. Off and running, so, that's gonna be our goal, is to try to get it in, to you, the application by the 15th, so that we can then come again more formal.
thank you.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
it was nice,
Thanks a lot.
chatting with you and meeting you and,
Appreciate your time,
Yep.
thank you. You can keep that if you want.
oh,
Do you want-
keep this,
Yeah, if you want to, I mean,
we certainly would be more than happy to.
Thank you.
okay, thanks a lot. Should we send you a thank you note? Make it the second one you've ever.
Yeah. Wait till after the.
That's true, that's a good point. Okay.
It should be
Okay.
in the building department.
Okay.
Yeah, the building department.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
All right, so now moving forward, Don, would you like to make any suggestions or
Yeah.
comments or?
Yeah, I think that there may be a legal question that needs answering for the board. And so if the board wants to adjourn for a brief attorney-client discussion, and then we can
And
come
then we
back
can
up
come
here
back
and finish
up.
the meeting. Yeah,
Perfect,
okay.
here we go, downstairs we
All right.
go.
So we're temporarily adjourning, but we will be back.
We'll be right back. Bye. So, you know what, you might want to just take a little pickle.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, we are back. Do you want to sit in your seat or would you like to come on out?
Hello. So, Greg Dulac. I don't know where we're going with this, you know, I'm not an engineer.
So we're not gonna be here much longer, okay, because we've been here for quite a while. What we wanna know is, were you willingly offering the water when you submitted your proposal? Your application?
For the second or the first?
Were you willingly offering to run the water to the parcels when you submitted your plan, your
The
application?
first one, first application, because there's two application notes already. That's why I was asking.
Phase 3 is what she's talking about.
So, what had happened was I was.
Hold on a
Okay,
minute,
no,
hold
I
on a
just-
minute.
you
We
just-
What?
You really just need
I
to say
didn't know
yes
the
or no.
cost. I just did not know the cost upfront.
Okay.
I was under the impression that it was gonna be less than half. Then. You know, significantly less than half of what it's going to be. And I didn't get the numbers. And then when I got them, we had to tweak some things with the plans.
Okay, so
to get it.
do you,
I'd like to move water, but I have to do it in a way that I can afford to do it.
Oh.
Sorry, I mean, what?
okay, so what I'm gonna say to you right now is I want to just be clear that you were willingly offering to run the water. And then you found out, you realized the cost of the water. And then not that you decided, but then it just became an obstacle to you moving forward, it was the cost of running this water.
So, I mean, let me give you some numbers. I got.
I don't,
Numbers don't matter,
you know what, the numbers don't
But
matter.
they do, because I had. to
Well, they
pay.
do to you,
but they don't to us.
but they don't
To
to
do
us.
our job.
So do you want to move forward where we are now with things as they are? Or do you want to just take this all away, go back and resubmit
I'm gonna move forward as it is.
with the water? With you running the water willingly across to the parcels?
Yeah, there's just some other
Okay.
news.
Okay, but, and we don't have, we're
It's
not,
okay, but Greg is telling me there's a third set of plans to move the water. I haven't had them priced out. I don't know how many hydrants.
okay, so you know what, we can do nothing right now. We can just table
Okay.
this for right now and you don't have to make a decision. And then you can come back
So-
and decide.
I'll just sign, I'm moving water, but it's so complicated. You know, I do have a lot of money to these engineers that are recommended by, you know, Earl. I'm trying to do
Okay,
right,
so
but,
we're not gonna,
yeah.
so like,
look, I mean, I guess like, just to tell you, I mean, I know you don't wanna talk numbers, but I'm willing to spend about.
we don't.
130,000, you know,
It
this is what I'm-
doesn't matter, we're not asking you to spend how much money we're not asking you to spend any money. What we're asking you is, you wanna be a property developer, right? You wanna develop this piece of property into residence and hopefully make some money on it. Okay, eventually, that's your goal.
I think my real goal is to live there. And to live.
Okay, so
God,
you know what, I
sorry.
still can't, okay, do you wanna move forward with where we are right now with the water as it is? Or do you want to come back with a different plan
No,
on a different night?
I'll move forward with what Greg was, you know, handling. We're moving the water to supply 4 lots.
You're moving the water to supply 4 lots. Now, you know, you made some accusations, you said about the town code enforcement officer and something about water to his place and like, so I'm not really
True.
sure what that's
I mean,
all about,
I mean,
but I don't want that. That's not part of this.
When you began speaking this evening, it sounded like you prefer to have wells instead of water.
Right, okay, I mean, it's, I think, but I mean. It's so complicated, because I also heard that there's conditions possibly for later developments. Like, I don't know anything about that because I'm only submitting applications for 4.
And that's all we're looking at right now.
And when I got 3 quotes with the boring pit and the original line, sorry, I know you're getting frustrated, but let me finish. For like over $250,000, and that's when I said I need to do wells. And my plan then, 100% disclosed, get approvals to sell more frontage, so I don't have to move it so far. Cause I'm building this close to the end of the water main, you know, I wanna live there. And, you know, but it's hard because when I bought this parcel land, I had no idea the cost of moving water. That's only gone up like 5 times the amount in the last 10 years, but yeah, I'm gonna move water for, I think what I can do it for is a number I put out there, and I'm willing to lose a little bit of money. And just so I can hurry up and get there,
So,
like
our
live there.
question,
and
so
do
our
it.
question to you right now. Are you willingly taking that water and moving it across the street to supply those lots with public water?
Yes, I am.
You are. You're not, you indicated earlier that you said you felt forced into that, and that it became a great concern with us. Because it was never,
Kind of.
well, if that is the concern, then we aren't going to move forward tonight. We're gonna have to. You're gonna have to think of something different.
I'm gonna do it, and I'm looking forward to seeing these latest plans works between my engineer and Monroe County Water.
Okay. So. You wanna move forward tonight then?
I don't know like what other choices I have.
Well, your other choice is to just say, I need more time to think about this, and I should come back at your next.
Or I'm
meeting.
not bringing water, we're gonna do wells. And that's it.
So I know.
But
I
then
wanna
he
help.
said, then he has a whole, then he needs to resubmit.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's a whole nother, because if you resubmit, everything that was approved here is off the table.
Well, it needs to be reexamined.
Well,
Maybe
re-examine, but what I'm saying is it's a fresh application, right? It's a fresh application.
One thing that I don't think you can answer is like submitting with 2 with wells and then coming back and going water for, you know, as far as I own. And that's kind of where the numbers fall in tune with breaking me. Like, just tell me, I mean, it's expensive. I don't know if you can answer that that's legal or if that's something I could do is the ones that are furthest out, you know, with wells and then, you know.
That's a new,
not with this-
that's a new application.
That's something you should
So-
explore with your team, and then if you need time to think about that. Go and do that and then come back, and either you can go. It's up to you and your team.
I think I'm just gonna do this because I'm losing traction with, you know, the quote unquote team. They are very expensive, like, you know, I was very upset that the approvals expired because you know,
Okay.
like, so I'm gonna just do this, I'm gonna do.
You
it.
are, and you're in
Because, you
agreement.
know, like, they're gonna come back and say, we want another
Okay.
10, 15,
Okay,
20 grand.
I
you know?
understand, so we have this proposal in front of us tonight. The only changes that we see on this are that one lot is a little bit bigger. All the other conditions of the original approval remain. And if you're in agreement with that, we can put it up for a vote tonight and you can leave and you'll have your approval and you can just move forward with what you need to do.
It's fine, but can I say one thing or two?
One thing or two things. Quickly,
It's still contingent on the boring pit, that's the highway department, but. You know, if they say that I need a boring pit, that's where I have to
well,
say,
see, this is where,
it's-
this is where that has nothing to do with us.
okay, I just wanna make sure because I am not
That
an
has,
engineer.
and you wanna understand that that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with us.
Well,
So,
yeah,
so the
yeah.
conditions of the conditions of your approval will be as they were spelled out originally.
Okay.
Okay, if you need to change something because of costs or whatever, you will need to come back with a new application and resubmit.
And you have the freedom to, obviously to say, I don't want to put in the line and I'm gonna come back with wells and see
Even
what the
after
board
the
thinks.
approval.
You do it right.
That's fine. May I ask another question? Is there anything that you think I need to be concerned about as far as? You know, the only thing that I got stuck on was. It's a big piece of land and then, you know, somebody saying, yeah, we're gonna have to revisit the changing of the farm. You know, things like that, like. Is there anything that you guys think that you need to protect me as a large landowner? You know, and look out for me and our future of, you know, our community, Mendon, Huntington Falls. Like, cause you're pretty vested in this and deep into my project, so I'm just curious. Like, what do you guys think? Sorry to ask, but what?
I don't think we really can advise you
That's
on,
between your engineer and you retaining counsel and going over with your
It
professional.
really sounds like you should consult your engineer and an attorney to make sure. You want to move forward, and if you have any of these questions before you move forward, you can do that. You can do your due diligence.
or maybe even bring in a financial advisor.
But again, a resident did raise concerns about future development of the agriculture, so that is something the board is going to be concerned about if there's future, meaning beyond this phase 3. So
Right.
that will be a concern that the board will probably take up, I'm assuming, if there was a future
If
proposal.
there was a future proposal.
But correct me if I'm wrong.
And again, if it is resubmitted as a new plan, then there will be a public hearing.
If this phase 3 is
If this-
resubmitted, you mean?
Right, if he resubmits as phase 3, then there's a public hearing. And
Just like there was tonight.
just like there was tonight, but now we have a neighbor who is concerned. So you just don't know where it could be delayed is all I'm gonna say. It may not be as cut and
Or
dry.
it may not be.
Or it
Maybe-
might not be, and maybe it'll just be just like tonight.
Sorry to hear what Earl wants to say.
Right now, you've got this much invested, right? You got a pile of money invested. You get an approval tonight, you still got that pile of money invested. Where you are right now with engineering. You don't have to go any further if you don't want to, but you got your approval. If you change your mind, now you can go back again, okay? Or you can just walk away now. You're better to do what your
I'm going-
conscience tells you.
I think I get it. All I'm really concerned about is my kids having something that they might be able to
Okay,
go deeper into.
in the
density.
future, but no, we don't
It
have
doesn't matter.
any,
It's first that
unfortunately,
I
no,
never say here.
no crystal ball.
Yeah, I know, well.
So
that's
do you
fine.
want, do
But
you
I'm
want,
good, yes, let's
do you
approve
want
it, let's
to,
approve it.
are you sure? Because we are more than happy to have you come back. It's only 2 weeks,
No, we're,
right?
we're,
And
we're
you
good,
can,
it was just the one condition about a neighbor and, you know, like. I mean, that's such a weird condition, but. You know, obviously, I'd love to have that on, like address things when applications, I guess that's what we'll do, but I'm good, let's sign off on this and move forward and. Yeah, I'm ready to put closure on it.
you are.
Yes,
Okay,
the answer is
all right.
yes, yes.
So would someone like to make a motion that we approve this application as is revised and presented to us based on the conditions that were put forth earlier.
In the written
prior,
resolution?
In the written resolution, yeah.
I so move.
Anybody want to second that? Very special second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, well then, congratulations, you are reapproved.
Thanks.
You, see, now you're just moving forward.
I am. Great,
Congratulations, you are now officially a property developer
yeah.
with all the headaches that go along with it.
Love it, don't love it. Thanks, no worries. Okay, well, I appreciate all your time.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Scott.
very much, Scott. We appreciate
Thank you. Good luck.
hanging out with us and
Yeah,
waiting for us to come back.
all
So,
right,
thank you.
take care.
Close the meeting.
Yeah. What do we have left? Any other items or?
Oh, yeah, here I am packing up and we really
Okay.
should be like, okay, is there anybody else? We don't really have anything else going on. We've got a meeting coming up in on the, what's the date, 18th, did we say 17th, 14th, 15th?
Oh, yes, the 18th, the Conklins are coming back on the 18th.
They're coming back on the 18th.
Yep.
And that's what we have for our next meeting, and then Mitten is the following meeting.
The 4th, December 4th.
Okay, so that'll
Yep.
be the next meeting.
Yep.
So,
There is one more, depends on if they get the full application in by the 13th. The Meg Brooker with Canfield Vet, she's gonna reapply for their special use permit.
Okay.
So we have part of the application, so it may be fit on the 4th as well, but not sure yet.
would someone like to make a motion that this meeting is adjourned?
Going for a year?
Anybody second that?
Yep,
Except
second, third, okay, who made the motion?
Anybody? Done,
Earl.
I did.
Who seconded? Charlie. Okay, we are out, people.
All right.